Are we okay? We got to fucking... We've got to do the fucking shit that we need for fucking drug abuse. No! No! Are you listening? Oh, you're gonna like this. You're really gonna fucking like this.
Sean from Middle Grounded. I hate Lorne Armstrong. Before I jump into this, I'm going to talk to you really quick about Jason Blaha. In 2017, I was doing exposés, sort of, I guess you could call, for ProMMANow.com, and it was called The Incredibly Fake True Story of. I was researching frauds and liars, and I came across this lunatic, this liar, this fraud, this lolcow named Jason Blaha. I recently discovered that Jason comes up in some of the Joran lore. So, I'm going to make a video on him. He is not a liar like Lorne Armstrong. He's a delusional liar. And I think he truly believes what he's saying. And it is so out there. It's hard to believe that this guy exists. But he does. And he has his own community dedicated to him, like Lorneography. Maybe not as big and as well known, but it was sizable. People were debunking him left and right, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't as flabbergasted by him as I was someone like Frank Dukes, who Bloodsport was based on, and all the information I found out and that had already been discovered. But I'm going to be making a video on him. Now, why would I bring him up? Well, one, because I'm making a video on him, obviously, but two, because he can't back up any of his claims. He has no proof. And proof is based on facts. Facts are things that can be proven to be true. Scientific method that can be repeated and you get the same results. So you can show that it's true. Lorne is constantly requiring proof. And I say constantly, and I mean it. How many times? Yeah, well, fucking prove it to me. You ain't proved it to me yet. Emma's been the only one to fucking prove herself to me. And this is dangerous. Vulnerable women would constantly be targets. They would be in danger of being punched in the face and screamed and yelled at, and things would be thrown. Because when you have somebody like Lorne, and I'm going to make a point real quick. If you're religious, you don't really have any proof. You may think you do, but you can't prove that there's a God. You cannot scientifically prove that God exists, but you have faith, and faith is something that requires mental fortitude and strength. And I'm not knocking religion, I'm making a point, because to have faith, unshakable faith, that requires a lot of dedication, a lot of effort, and you can have that faith in your partners, and you can believe that they're going to be faithful to you. Without that faith and that trust, you have nothing. So when Lorne Armstrong tells somebody they have to prove something to him, think about this. How can you possibly provide proof to someone who only has his personal standards that he wants you to live up to? And he never verbalizes those personal standards past, shut the fuck up about Dan. You want to ask him, how many times do I need to say, I love you? Do I need to report in? What do you require of me? To have an intelligent conversation, the secret is, especially when you're talking about religion and politics and things that are very difficult to speak about, nuanced conversations, whatever. You say, what do you believe? Tell me why you believe it. And what could I tell you that would possibly change your mind? You couldn't have a conversation like that with Lorne, because like a lot of these people on the internet, everything is based on emotion. They have a little bit of information and they base everything else, their defense, their offense, on emotion. Just like Lorne, Mr. Douchebag. If I told you, and this may not be the best, if I told you, prove to me that apple is edible, and you took a bite of it, and you ate it, and you didn't die, and then you ate it for a couple days, maybe a week, and you did die, I could say, oh, that is safe to eat. But if I ask you to prove that the apple is red, and I'm colorblind, you couldn't do it. You absolutely couldn't do it. I would have to take your word for it. That is true. I would have to take your word for it. Are you cheating on me? No, I'm not. Yeah, well, fucking prove it. How do I prove it, Lorne? Do I stay on the phone with you all day? Do I have to have witnesses? Do you want me to keep a journal? Do you understand the hell that these women would be in? Tell me the boundaries, the guidelines, the restrictions, and tell me what it would take to change your mind if you think I'm cheating on you. Prove it to me. Lorne, proof requires facts. And if you don't have faith in me and you don't believe what I'm telling you, then I can never prove it to you. What do you want me to do to show you? If someone at work, you want them to prove themselves to you, maybe you say to yourself or to them, I want you to be here on time, be at your desk. I want you to do the work that's assigned to you and get it completed when you're told that it needs to be completed by. That would be something, that'd be a way you could prove yourself to someone. Or show them that you're loyal. When times get hard, you stick by them. When other people are trashing them, you don't join in. Right? You don't join in, you stick up for them. That'd be a way you could prove yourself to someone. Show your spouse you love them. Now, Lorna's not in person, so there can't be things like treating them well, allowing them to have personal time, do something romantic for them, go see a romantic comedy instead of an action movie, the one that you really want to see, compromise, be there for them, show them that you care. When they're not having a good day, you tell them everything is going to be fine. When times get tough, you stick around. You trust them. Now, how do you do that over the phone? How do you prove yourself to someone who can't be around you? Someone paranoid with relationship OCD, who has obsessive love disorder and bipolar 2. How do you prove yourself over the phone to them? It's a nightmare. All of that stuff over a year would build up in their head so that when you were finally there in person, they could unload for all of the stuff they thought you put them through. All of the transgressions. Sweatshirt with the letter D. The time you said this, the time you did that. You would never be able to prove yourself to them because the damage would already be done. So my advice would be, don't have a relationship over the phone. Because if they require proof, how are you going to prove it to them? You can't. And if you do want someone to prove themselves to you, give them the steps that they can take. Give them a checklist, guidelines, set the boundaries, allow them to know exactly what's in your head and what would make you feel like they've proven themselves to you. Well, number one, if you have to ask somebody to prove themselves to you, maybe it's not good that you're with them. Because you shouldn't have to ask anyone to prove themselves to you. Now, if it's an employee and you know they're capable of great things, then maybe you give them that chance to prove themselves to you again. Maybe you say, this employee's worth it. If you have a relationship and the other person's worth it, yeah, prove yourself. But Lorne's relationships with these catfish women are dysfunctional, abusive, and they can make anybody have a mental breakdown. And I think Lorne has mental breakdowns. Look, I mean, the crying, yeah, it's fake, but come on, man. In some of those videos that have been released by Blue Boy, he's dancing with a freaking pillow. Jesus, man. He loves that phase where he can be, as I said, cute and clever. He's in the honeymoon phase. Everything's fun and new, and none of your faults are visible. Well, I'm tying this into that because once those faults become visible, that's when you're going to have to figure out, what do I accept and what do I not accept? I can't change them because that's who they are. So what do? Lorne's going to stick with them because he has nobody else. He can't get anybody in person. The reality is that the only proof you're going to get about who they are and what you mean to them is who they are and their actions, which you can't control, which is why Lorne is constantly trying to guide them back to what he wants. When you can't get somebody to act the way you want, you try to control them. Lorne's idea of proof is making somebody do what he wants. So the point I'm trying to make is, when you're dealing with the Lorne Armstrong and they're telling you they want you to prove something to them and they don't tell you how you can prove it, and there's no way to prove it, you just need to move on. One more time, if you require somebody to prove something to you in a relationship and you're not getting the evidence that you need, you're not getting the facts, it's time to move on. Those are just my thoughts on a Friday where I'm looking forward to the workday being over. But I love you guys. Jason Blaha video coming out soon. Please like, subscribe, and share. I will see you in the next one.
Yeah,